What is the correct terminology? What do I say?
Just Sheku is fine. Just Sheku is
Do you
fine.
ever walk around and like, if anyone doesn't talk to you nicely, like, talk to me nicely? I have an MBE, like, understand who you're dealing
I
with.
think that would be the worst possible.
No, I would.
thing
I
could
literally
do.
would.
No.
That would literally be in every single one of my captions. I'd be like, Zeze, and then in brackets, just MBE, talk to me nicely. That's what it would say all the time. Literally. Anyway, how are you today?
Great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks for
nice to be here.
Thank you for coming to have a chat with me. Just give the audience a little background about yourself and what you do and etc. etc.
Sure. So I'm a cellist.
Okay.
Mostly. So I've been playing the cello since I was 6 or 7.
Okay,
6 or
wow.
7. Now I'm a full-time student and also lucky enough to perform.
Right.
And stuff like that. I play a bit of piano.
Okay.
Sometimes, and a bit of bass guitar, but mainly.
So where are you studying at the moment?
I'm at the Royal Academy of Music.
Okay, right,
So
nice. When I used to do acting, I applied for RADA.
Oh yeah.
Right, I applied for RADA, which is like it's the Royal Academy of Acting. I think RADA is. I don't know. It just reminded me of that. I feel like not everyone, but the majority of people that play instruments, you start off like really, really young. How did you get into it? Because I understand you have 7. You're one of 7, and everybody in your family plays an instrument. So is that kind of something that your parents wanted you to do from young? How did it come about?
It wasn't like a big plan from my parents,
Right.
Necessarily, but they both loved music. They played a little bit, played instruments a little bit when they were younger, and we had a piano in the house, and my older sister started learning, and my mum would sit with her and teach her a little bit, and my dad as well when he wasn't working, and then my brother, my older brother, also started on the piano, and they both started playing the violin as well, and so I would say I kind of grew up just watching them play and begin to start, and wanted to, as a younger sibling, just kind of follow what they were doing, really. How
did you pick the cello? Or who picks who? Does the cello pick you, or do you pick the cello?
In my case, I started actually on the violin.
Okay, right.
First, and didn't get on well with it at all, really. I mean, my mum was my first teacher, so she taught me the violin, and we used to have lots of arguments, and I couldn't concentrate and things like that. And then I remember watching a whole orchestra perform for the first time in Nottingham, where I grew up, and it was a youth orchestra. And I don't remember actually what they were playing and why we were there, but I just remember just staring at the cello and being really, really excited by the sound and the look of it. I think also because my brother was playing the violin, and as a younger brother, I was a little bit wanted to outdo him, so pick a little bit of a bigger instrument. That played a part at the start, but as soon as I started properly learning, I loved it.
One of the things that I definitely wanted to touch on was you playing at the royal wedding. It's just something that I did that day. Not a big deal. You played for Prince Harry and Meghan. How did that even come about? Like, did they just call you, yo, what are you saying? Like, you want to pull up, bring your cello and just play a couple of tunes, we're good to go?
I'm not sure exactly how. I think a few years before that, I was at a charity event for a charity based in Antigua, which is where my dad is from, and Prince Harry was there, and I played for him there. So maybe he'd remembered. I'm not sure, but
he did. He's trying to be humble. It's like maybe he remembered. He remembered you.
But which was really nice. And it was just I took the opportunity because it's wonderful to be able to perform for loads of people around the world, and that's what I enjoy. And so I thought for me it was a wonderful opportunity in that sense.
I think for me, and I think for a lot of other black people and people of colour, it was nice to see somebody that looked like you in a space that we're not usually in. Do you get what I mean? Or if we do see someone playing the cello, it's not somebody that looks like us. So I remember when I saw it, it was circulating on social media and just on the television. Like I said, it was just like, oh, cool. And I don't know if you've ever had anyone approach you, but I think what that did as well was show young people that this is something that you can do. Do you know what I mean? It's not, you can be in music, but it doesn't always have to be rap, or it doesn't always have to be pop, or it doesn't always have to be, I don't know, like dance or Afro beats. It can be, you can also reside in this space as well. Did you ever get anyone saying that to you, or?
One of the most moving things for me is when someone has been inspired to pick up an instrument or to start playing the cello because they saw that performance, for example. And I think it hopefully shows the power of, firstly, watching something particularly as a young person, and being introduced to, because that's essentially how I became a cellist, from watching performances of cellists and being like, you know, wow, what an amazing thing. I would love to be able to do that. And I think if on top of that person, if, you know, I can imagine if I was younger, if on top of that person was black, then I would have been inspired, and it would have given me even more, you know, it would have given me the confidence. I was lucky, of course, to have my family around me, but outside of that, not really anyone else who was black, and that would have given me so much confidence.
So you mentioned your household, like it was your parents played the violin. Was there any other music that you listened to growing up? Are you influenced by, I don't know, do you listen to hip hop? That almost sounds like an ignorant question, like do you listen to other music?
No,
but I know if I spoke to maybe a rapper, I know they're going to tell me they don't really listen to classical. It's not something that they're going to go and put on. So kind of it is and kind of it's not an ignorant question. Do you listen to other genres of music, or do you kind of, you know, just stick to what you...
No, I think it's a great question. And actually, you know, growing up, I would say that classical music was the main thing that my parents played around the house. So that's what I grew up with mostly. But my parents are big reggae fans, Bob Marley.
Right, nice.
And
okay.
I have been massively influenced by Bob Marley. I remember also, there's videos of us younger listening to 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg and Dr Dre a lot as well. I think we didn't really listen so much to the lyrics when we were very young. But I remember my brother went to school once and he was singing the lyrics to I think it was PIMP by 50 Cent, and got told off, but didn't really know what he was talking about. But yeah, I've been influenced by lots of different artists, and I'm grateful that I was able to listen to so much music, because that I think has had such an impact on me as a musician now.
Do you ever feel as if you have to conform to what? Because I think sometimes, you know, you see a young black man and you think they're going to do a certain type of genre. Have you ever felt the pressure to do another genre, or so you can fit in, or do you feel like you fit in? Do you get what I mean? I
think I've been lucky, definitely having my family. That I've never been the only black, you know, musician around playing classical music, because my sisters and brother were other ones. So I was always kind of felt supported and inspired by them. And in terms of, I mean, classical music has just been the music that I have loved since I was younger, and it felt like when I'm playing, certainly, it always feels that I'm at home with this music. Of course, it's very obvious that there is a very extreme lack of diversity in classical music, and that's something that I am very committed to trying to change. Of course, it will be a long process, but we already are starting to see some change, and people having the confidence to be out there as black people in classical music, and that's been really beautiful. But there's a massively long way to go, for sure. Was
there anyone in particular when you was growing up that you looked up to?
For me, it was always Jacqueline Dupre, the cellist. I used to just watch videos of her, try and play along with her recordings and things, and I was just always inspired by the freedom in which she played. It was almost as if the cello was kind of part of her body, and it was just an expression of her voice, and that was really, really inspiring.
I do find that when I do watch people play the instruments, it almost seems like it's an extended part of them. You know, like the music, the fluidity of their body that moves with the music. It's almost quite therapeutic to watch, and evokes quite a lot of emotion as well. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're not familiar with the instrument, or you've never seen anyone play it, if you watch somebody that kind of immerses themselves in it, you kind of feel it. So you're quite young. You're 21.
Yeah.
You're quite young. So when did you kind of realise I'm actually going to have a career in this in doing this? Or are you kind of still a bit like, actually, I don't know.
I don't know if there was like a very obvious defining moment. I always enjoyed playing and definitely always enjoyed performing.
Yeah.
And so I think from quite young, I did always want to be a performer and to be a cellist.
So your home environment was very musical, but what about when it came to education? How was it, primary school, secondary school? What was that like?
I think I was very, very, very lucky, extremely lucky actually, to have gone to schools where music was very much a part of the education and very much appreciated. I remember coming into assemblies, in primary school to the Bach cello suites and Dvorak New World Symphony because the head teacher just loved
nice.
music, and we would always sing, and we'd have music nights every term where the parents and students anyone who played and wanted to perform would perform.
Right.
And it was just such a wonderful atmosphere and love of music that I was surrounded by at school, and I think I was definitely very lucky in that sense, because it was just a normal state school in Nottingham, but the head teachers just saw the obvious value of having music as a big part of childhood, because how much it grows you as a person, I think is.
I understand that you're working on a new album. How's that going for you?
I love recording, and I love being able to spend time focusing on music that I love, and really, I don't know, a recording I see as a kind of photo or snapshot of me as a musician or me as a person right now. And in 20 years, I'm sure I'll be playing very, very differently, and we'll have a very different perspective on the pieces of music that I'm playing now. But it's wonderful to have a record of me now.
I guess though, because the time that we're going through now, it will be maybe in 20 years' time, even listening back to it, you probably think, wow, do you know what I mean? Because I guess it comes from the emotion. That's how you play. It comes from the emotion, what you're feeling. So you're literally recording an album during one of the most life-changing moments for the whole world. Like 2020 was
and it's something that's affected everyone. It's very rare. It's actually very rare to have an issue or something that really I wouldn't say necessarily unites the whole world, but it has touched everyone, and everyone's experienced it obviously in different ways, but it's it has been very interesting.
How's that been for you? Are you still able to do live things?
Yeah, it has been a really tricky year to navigate, because a lot of live performances weren't able to happen because you can't get the audiences into the room, and so live streamed concerts have been a thing, and they are. I would see them as a different thing. I wouldn't say they're a replacement for a live performance, because there's something amazing about the energy
from the audience
in a room from the audience, and that's something that I miss a lot. And I'm really looking forward to.
Even me, like when obviously, because what I do sometimes. Now everyone wants to do Zoom calls all the time. Zoom recording the podcast. You're like, it's not the same.
It's not the same as.
It's not. You just want to. You want to feel somebody's energy. You want to get the response from the audience. You know, like that immediate response. And if you could work, this is such a random question. Okay. If you could work with anybody not from your world, from a different genre, who would it be?
Alive now or
anyone?
Bob Marley, easy. Very, very, very easy, because he's an amazing musician, and I love his approach to life and to music.
Yeah,
and I think 100%. I'd be just so moved by being in his presence.
What about somebody? I'm going to say now. What about somebody alive?
Somebody alive.
Who would it be?
Tricky. I think Dr Dre is a genius.
100%.
And I don't know. I'm not sure that would work so well us two, but I
you know what?
I would like to chat to him.
Sometimes when you listen to a lot of like the samples that hip hop uses, it does come from a classical background. Do you get what I mean? When they break it down and you actually hear all the instruments, so it's not as far removed, I guess, from what you would think. But because I know I've watched a couple of videos. Even the other day I was watching how they made the thong song. This is so random. Okay. And the guy that plays, there's the violin in it. Dun, 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 that bit. And he talked about how Cisco was just basically like, I want this sound. And he just recorded it. And he didn't know where the song was going to go, and his friend literally sent it to him, was like, is this you playing the violin? And he was just like, oh yeah, it's me, like, because he didn't know where it was going. But it's so weird when you break it down, how we think sometimes it's so far removed from hip hop, from pop, from but it's not. It's in there. Do you get what I mean?
I think definitely, and it's kind of, maybe it's I don't know. I wasn't around 200 years ago, but it seems like it's quite a recent thing that music is seen as so much in separate genres. And
that's true.
There were, I mean, classical musicians in the 20th century were, from my impression, were much more influenced by other styles of music and other arts. Even when I'm performing a very classical piece of music, I feel the influence of how Bob Marley performs, for example. And the timing and the way of accentuating different important notes in a phrase, for example, are actually very similar in the way like Jacqueline du Pré plays as Bob Marley, as what Dr Dre will find interesting in the music that he's creating. And it's music is wonderful.
What do you, when you listen to other people playing, what do you look for? How do you know if somebody's like good, or is there like a certain thing that you think, they do that sick, or that's.
It would be it'd be difficult to pinpoint what makes a musician great. I think one of the things that I have found that connects a lot of the artists that I'm very, very moved by is the very directness between what you feel. You don't necessarily know what's going on inside a musician's head, but sometimes when you listen to an artist, you really feel that you get exactly what they're feeling, and it comes across in such a unique and raw way. And I think also the kind of thin line between different emotions. For example, I think there's such a thin line between extreme happiness and extreme sadness, and I think if there's like a fragile line between those two, then music can be incredibly powerful.
Do you ever are you ever concerned about how people will receive your music? Because obviously when you're playing it, you're trying to convey a certain type of emotion. Are you ever worried about if people are going to get the emotion that you wanted?
I think it's you have to acknowledge that it is impossible for everything that you feel about a piece of music is going to be, every audience member is going to perceive it differently. And that's actually a wonderful thing, as opposed to, you can't force emotions onto an audience. You can only share your feelings with them, and they will respond in the way that they will respond, and you can move them in many different ways by them hearing the same thing. So it's interesting.
How important is like representation to you in this world that you're in? How important is it to you?
It's incredibly important. I think it's very, very difficult to see yourself doing something if no one who maybe looks like you is doing it. And I think my parents were very insistent on showing us role models when we were growing up, and of course there weren't many or any that we knew of black classical musicians, and so we would watch documentaries of Muhammad Ali, Bob Marley, and read about great black heroes, and we were so inspired by the notion that as a black person you can do anything if of course it always comes down to a lot of hard work, but it comes down to a lot of opportunities as well, which I think is something that is one of the main causes of lack of diversity in something like classical music. But I think, representation and having a role model is such an important thing.
Do you think the opportunities are getting better?
Do I think they're getting better? No.
No,
because I think what I've seen, for example, even if you take the small case study of my primary school, the amount of cuts that have been done to the music in that school has been, I would say, very, very, very devastating. And as a result, there are fewer children who are able to have this wonderful music education, which you kind of create this two class thing where those who are able to pay for music lessons, not only are they able to become musicians, but also they are able to be enriched by this wonderful, these wonderful experiences. And so there's a massive divide, I feel, in this country, not you know, because of a massive divide in wealth, but also in opportunities. And of course, as a musician, I'm going to speak, you know, mainly about the music, but I think it highlights a really, really big problem in this country.
Yeah, it's because I'm thinking, I think I had piano lessons in school, but I think it was like optional, and I do think my mum probably had to pay a little bit extra for me for me to do it. So you've got so many brothers and sisters. I have to ask: do you guys play together? Do you like how does it work? Please tell me you do.
We do.
Okay, good.
We play a lot together. It's not so often all 7 of us, but I play particularly a lot with my older sister Isata and my brother Brimer as well.
Okay.
And it's wonderful playing together with anyone who you know very well. There's that amazing feeling of trust. For example, when I'm performing with my sister, there's a feeling of trust, and so therefore you're able to take, you're able to try things, I don't know, in performance in a more spontaneous way, for example. Knowing that
the other person's got you.
Exactly.
I get what you mean.
And actually, I mean, when you're playing with another person, it's not a case of both being together. I mean, if you're having a conversation, there's often clashes and points where you're not together in the traditional sense, but there's a feeling that, I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
It's hard to,
No, I get
describe, but
just that it's like I hate this word, but it's like a safe place. You know, like the person creates that safe atmosphere for you so that you can do what you need to do, and like you said, communicate how you feel. But just let us know, apart from the album that you wish, have you got an album name? Or you can't say that yet? Is it like classified information? I'm trying to get out all the secrets here, guys. You know what I mean? The drops and stuff. What have you got coming up? What have you got coming up next?
I always have the worst answers for these questions. Because I'm like, I don't know. But I think performances in person are hopefully coming back. In, I would say, June or the summer, later on in the summer. So I'm looking forward to those.
And where can the people find you? Where can they find you?
Find me, I guess, my Instagram and Facebook name is just my name, Sheku Kanneh-Mason.
Wicked.
I don't know how easy that is.
Are you a regular uploader though?
I tried to be.
Oh, guys, that means he's not. That's really disappointing.
No, there's some good stuff.
Do you know, some good stuff. I like people that upload like all the time.
I wouldn't say every day, but I try to. Try to let people know what I'm doing, I guess, and also I like sharing what I'm listening to as well, if it's of interest.
Wicked. Well, thank you so much. It's been a really nice chat. You're so calm. It's like calming me, like, very zen. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on. You know what to do. Follow him on the socials, like, subscribe, and make sure you comment. Thank you.
As it stands, there is no data on the experience of black professionals and musicians within the UK music industry. With this survey, we can help to make a better case for the change that we know needs to happen. To complete this survey, visit blim.org.uk/change. This is the sound of change.